Folks, it is Fans Football Island. I'm Tito. Jeff Thidoff to my left, Chad Ochorinco. Follow him on Twitter that way, Chad Rink, at Chad Ochorinco. Follow me, at Fit Happens. This is Fans Football Island on Fans 3 Sports. It is drafting season. Preseason football is well underway, although we're not going to tell you how much attention you should pay to that. But we do have some strategies for you we want to talk about today as you are getting ready for your drafts. And the first one is one that if you're going to commit to it, you've got to stick with it. You can't be on the fence about it, but I would always say that don't go in there with like a specific drafting strategy in mind. In most cases, what do you want to talk about today as far as a strategy for drafting, Chad?
So we talked about hero RB last time. So I thought we'd go zero RB. And you brought up a good point. And that is, I think with zero RB, you definitely don't want to go in I'm going zero RB. I don't think you should go in with any kind of strategy because you don't know how the draft's going to go. Even if you know going in, hey, I'm drafting at 3. Mm-hmm. You can have an idea of how you want to draft, but you don't know, especially if you're on the ends. There's like 20 picks before you got to go. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what people are looking at, watching. So the best thing to do is do a bunch of mock drafts and do a bunch of mock drafts with, hey, I'm going hero RB. Let's see what happens. Hey, I'm going tight end. I'm taking one of the top 2 tight ends early, which we'll talk about here, as you see in the background in a minute. And then see how the teams look and kind of get a feel of who's going. But then going zero RB. And this is what I want to talk about. Who's going to be there if you wait on zero RB? So with zero RB, we're going to do official zero RB. You're going to do 3 receivers, a tight end, and your quarterback. That is what official zero RB is. Zero RB is not, I didn't draft one in the first 2 rounds. You're getting 3 receivers, a tight end, and your quarterback. So you're going pretty much 6th round. We'll do a 10 team on that. So if you're looking at that, you're probably looking at guys like David Montgomery, Trevion Henderson, Michelle Tootin, DeAndre Swift, Jadarian Price. That's kind of where you're looking at as your first running back if you do the strategy. Jeff, of those guys, who is your preference?
What are the names again? Give me one more time. Sorry.
David Montgomery,
yep.
Trevion Henderson, yep. Swift, Tootin, Price.
Okay. I like Dave Montgomery probably the best in that scenario. I like him quite a bit this year going over to Houston. Houston still has a great offensive line, and they've got a quarterback who isn't great. But by the way, only quarterback. I think they're the only team I think they've won playoff games each of the last 3 years. Yeah, in the NFL. So it's it's like, and people rip on CJ Stroud a lot. We're here in Columbus, so we Buckeye fans and whatnot. But yeah, so I think that Montgomery, based on the fact that if you look at how inconsistent Stroud has been passing wise, I think you'll see Montgomery get a lot of opportunities to score touchdowns. But it's just a question of where you think he's going to go. I don't know what's his average pick is. Around in the 70s somewhere?
He's at 50 right now on Fantasy Football Today's ADP. And it's going to be in that range. It just depends. I don't know how he's going to. He could fall, though. I don't know how many people are going to be high on him.
Right.
I like him just as he could be a guy that could get you 15 touchdowns because that defense is so good.
Yeah.
I think they're going to want to try to just kill the clock. He's so good at 3.5 yards, like moving the chains. He's not super dynamic. He never has been, even back in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind him. I would think I would prefer either Tootin or Swift because Tootin's going to have that backfield pretty much to himself. DeAndre Swift does have some competition with Monangai, but we saw last year, I thought Monangai was going to, I really thought Roschon Johnson was going to be
really liked Roschon Johnson last year, yes.
And Monangai did have some moments, have some series, but I think they trusted Swift, and I think he did enough last year that he probably will get 70% of the carries.
And I like that too. I do like Swift there. I think that Montgomery and Swift. I think if you, and like we said, don't go into it with like, I'm going to do it this way. Wait and see how the draft falls to you because you're not sure. It's a thing where, and I think, Chad, the way to do this is if it presents itself, if you've made a few picks already and have not taken running back yet, because you've got such great value everywhere else, then you can fall into that zero running back strategy and still make some hay.
I think so. Let's look at this. Like if we decide you're kind of at the back end of a 10 team, you could end up with, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And let's say the way it worked out, it was I don't know if you get Jefferson. Let's say you got Amon-Ra St. Brown and either London, AJ Brown, whoever you like there. You took Bowers, because you got just the way it was. You probably couldn't do that. You probably have to go Bowers first, but let's just say whatever. Let's just do this. Say Brown, AJ Brown, and then you went with Pickens, Loveland, and then you got Lamar. Let's say it worked out that way.
Okay.
And then you got Abuka. So you got Lamar, AJ Brown. Oh no, you wouldn't need to do that. That's the 5, right? Yeah. AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pickens.
Okay.
Loveland, Lamar. That's a pretty solid start.
I would say so too. Yes.
And then you're going, I need running back. So then you're looking at, would you be happy then with 2 of those guys we talked about? Yeah,
I would be. Look, Travion, Swift, Montgomery, I like all 3 of those guys. Give me 2 of them with that start to the draft. I would take it all day long.
And that's where I think the 0 running back comes in, where if you got people that get this running back run, because you're going to have where I don't know how many are going to go in the first round after Gibbs,
right?
Bijan.
Yeah.
And if you have one where you got these guys that go let's say McCaffrey, Henry, Genty, Taylor all kind of go, or Cook. Let's say 6 running backs go in that first round, or 5, and the 2, you could get Jefferson, Lamb.
Yeah.
And then coming back, if Bowers is there or McBride, at the 3rd round, you get that, or even Josh Allen, and then pair him with Loveland, or pair him with another great receiver. If you get another receiver, then I'm okay, then I'm going to commit. That's what I think it is, where if you get 3 studs, and I think, again, if it's a 3 running back, you start 3 running backs, then I don't think you ever do a 0 running back.
Right.
But if you're starting 2 or even 1, if you have to start 3 receivers, I think that's what happens. If you fall into, I took my tight end early, I got good value in the quarterback, and I got 3 stud receivers, then you do that. Then I think you just draft running backs probably for the next 6 rounds, because you're going to take chances on guys I got to pull that, like Tony Pollard.
Right.
You're going to take chances on Kenneth Gainwell. You're going to take chances on Jadarian Price, maybe Dobbins, Jonathan Brooks, Rashad White. You're going to take chances on 4 or 5 of those guys and hoping that you can get 2 to start for you every week.
Yeah, and that's where you're playing that game where there's going to be, eventually it's going to turn into lottery tickets. We talk, Tyler Algier is a guy to look at too in Arizona, who they're going to start Love, are they going to play James Conner, or are they just going with Algier or Trey Benson, I guess, also on that team. And then you've got Brooks in Carolina, no one to look at too, depending on where he's going to go.
Right.
But you start going down the list though, and you start looking at guys that just have an upside there. In all likelihood, if you do the 0 RB, there's a chance your 4th or 5th running back will never start for you. He might not, because you're taking chances on those. Now, if you hit it, it's great.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing with that is, and the good thing is you've got enough value at other positions already to where you can offset subpar running back play.
Yeah, as long as, again, guys and that's why I think guys like Montgomery and Swift are perfect for this, because you don't need them to really outkick where you drafted them. Yeah. If they can give you, if Montgomery gives you 70 yards and a touchdown most weeks.
Yeah, you'll take it.
And with those receivers and stuff. And if Allen or Lamar just goes off again, that's all you need. And if you happen to get a guy like Jonathan Brooks and he does just be the guy and take off, or Tootin, that's even better on that. But you don't need these guys to then, I hope these guys get you don't need a top 10 running back. You just need a consistent 9 to 12 points.
So we've got situations where we're not sure which running back on certain teams will get the bulk of the carries.
Right.
Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, perfect example of that, right?
Yes.
But let's say that you get a guy with your first running back, which, again, 0 running back strategy. The first running back you get is someone you know is going to get the lion's share of the carries.
Yeah.
It gets 65, 70% of it. Then the next time through, if you could get 2 running backs from the same team, would you do that? Or would you, because for instance, if Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle are both there, do you take both of them thinking one of them will end up taking it over? Or do you say, you know what, I'm just going to take the one I think and then move on?
I think that's a good strategy. Like you said, you get David Montgomery,
right,
or whoever at that first one, DeAndre Swift, Tootin, whoever.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind my next two going, like you said, Dowdle and Jalen Warren, or I like better Bill Krosky Merritt, Rashad White. Because the other thing I think with the zero running back, if you can get a stud like that, if you can get like Rashad White that in the PPR could get you 50 to 70 receptions, I think that's the way to go too. But I do like that because you figure, okay, you're hoping one of these guys separates himself from the other, or one of the guys gets hurt.
Yeah.
And you want to put it on a team, like you want to get something like that where it's still a decent team where both running backs have kind of shown something before. I don't mind that at all.
Do you have a thought on the Carolina running back situation? Is there one you like at Carolina maybe to take later on as well?
I think I would just look at Jonathan Brooks. They drafted him in the first round. I believe they drafted him in the first round.
I think he was,
and he's just been injured. And I think they got to figure out, is he good?
Right.
And Chuba Hubbard's fine. Like, he's just average. I think Chuba Hubbard lives on, I think Chuba Hubbard is like the show Arrested Development, where Chuba Hubbard's living on 3 to 6 really good games at 1 year.
Right.
And then people think it's great. I love Arrested Development, but it's the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development. Season 4 is fine. Season 5 sucks. So I think Chuba Hubbard's like that, where they look at that one stretch he had where he was a stud.
Right.
A couple years ago. And he's not that old either. So, but I think I would rather go Brooks, because I think people are going to stay away from Brooks because of the injury, and the value you can get on Brooks is going to be kind of huge.
Yeah, he had, you're right, a couple years ago it was, in 2024 when he had
it was a stretch of games where he was just unreal.
Yeah, he had the 28 for 153 and a touchdown against the Giants, also had 25 for 152 and 2 touchdowns against Arizona to wrap up the season. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's the way when you're looking at it, though. It's a thing where don't go in there, because if you try to just commit in any draft, zero running back, any strategy you're going to have, you think about it, you've got to be quick enough on the fly to pivot.
Yes.
Like Friends, I guess. Pivot.
Pivot. Speaking of, I tell you a guy too, and we had talked about him before, is Pacheco's a guy to maybe take a chance on if you're doing this, because if something happens to Gibbs.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Pacheco, people are going to say, well, Montgomery's better than Pacheco, so Pacheco's going to not get that much work. I'm like, I don't know if Pacheco's that much worse than Montgomery. I think Montgomery, because I was a Bears fan, Montgomery was fine, but he was more explosive with that Lions offense, because that Lions offense was better than the Bears offense. But Montgomery with Houston, I wouldn't mind Pacheco, because he's not great, but if something happens to Gibbs, you take a chance on that.
I'll look at the Philadelphia running back situation too. Another guy might take a chance on is Tank Bigsby. Just a couple years ago, Bigsby had over 750 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. And Saquon, after that huge year when they had the 2,000-yard season, he's fallen back. He had a bad year last year because of all the touches he had. You got to look at all those things. And I would look at, and when I'm looking then at these, at the way to evaluate these running backs, I look at situations where you've got a running back maybe who has had a ton of touches the year before. Christian McCaffrey, like the San Francisco running back situation. I'll take the guy next in line after McCaffrey. You know what I mean? Like, I'll gladly do that. McCaffrey, all those touches he had last year. He's not young. We know that. And so that's something I would look at too, like in situations like that as well.
Yeah. And the 2 more guys like Tyrone Tracy, Sean Tucker, I think are in situations where late flyers on those guys could end up down the line being huge for you.
The one guy I'm really hoping, though, takes off, because I love his name, is Jam Miller. He's in New England. All right, let's switch gears a little bit now. First of all, fantasydraftproxies.com. Go there if you want to help with your draft. We do draft people. We will do together well over 100 drafts this year for people. And so we've got the trends that don't involve, for the most part, any kind of auto draft situations, because we're watching it live. We're boots on the ground. We're doing the drafts, and we can evaluate trends. And so if you need help with your draft, fantasydraftproxies.com. We also have in-season management, in-season advice, all those things. Go check it out. It's great. All right, let's go to the drafting strategy involved in the draft, the tight ends. And I often feel like the tight end position, I feel more of it's a crapshoot. It's a dart at the dartboard kind of thing, because there's so much inconsistency. And we've seen guys that have just completely underperformed, or guys have come up of nowhere as well. But like, for a long time, Kyle Pitts Sr. was going to revolutionize the position. Hasn't really done that. But you hear the guys that come through, it's like, oh, this guy's going to be the next great thing at tight end. And they fall off. And sometimes, more often than not for me, Chad, I find my tight end about halfway through this year, about a quarter of the way through this year, I'll stumble upon somebody. I'll draft somebody who's underperforming and isn't doing great, or get hurt. It gets hurt and whatever. Like last year, I had so many shares of Jake Ferguson, and it paid off dramatically.
Yeah, for me, drafting a tight end late is like music and passion at the Copacabana. It's always in fashion for me, because I don't want to take a second round pick on a tight end, because tight end, like, again, it's a crapshoot. It's a lot of it's based on touchdowns, and like McBride and Bowers will get you the receptions, but we saw that one year McBride, he didn't have one touchdown his first year
for the longest time. Yes.
Yeah, but his receptions helped. But and we'll talk about them. They're in situations, but yeah, I would rather get the value at tight end. And we'll talk about what kind of things we want to do when you're drafting your tight end, because it's going to cost you a second round pick for McBride and Bowers. That's why I would go into a mock draft with the intent of, I'm taking Bowers and McBride in the second round to really see what that team looks like.
Yeah.
And if you like it or not, then hey, and plus both of them, they have new quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. They're not on good teams. We don't, and then with the Raiders, they have a new coach. The Cardinals have a new coach. Like, they both have new coaching staffs. Right. We have no idea what this is going to look like. And if you look at Clint Kubiak, I know he wasn't the coach, but he's the offense coordinator. The Seahawks didn't really use their tight end that much. So who knows what it's going to look like? I still think they'll be good, because I think the talent's there. But if you told me like Loveland or Ferguson had similar numbers, that's fine. And like, you could get them later, especially Ferguson. So
just so you know, when we talk about the weirdness of tight ends, maybe they're like goaltenders or goalies, I should say, or relief pitchers in baseball. 221 receptions his first 3 years, total of 6 touchdowns.
Yeah,
221, crazy. 6 touchdowns. Yeah. Last year, 126 receptions, 11 touchdowns. Yeah. So comes out, like, not saying he came out of nowhere, because you did draft him based on the volume he was getting at 147 targets back in 2024. But nonetheless, so that's just the kind of thing you look at, though, when you look at the tight end position. And, when you're choosing to draft them, there is some quirkiness in there. You may take Turk Wendell. They may end up with that, something like that. But like McBride, though, is the one going highest. He's usually going in the first 2 rounds. Bowers within the first 3. And then you've got a drop for Loveland and Warren and Pitts and Laporta. Laporta's another interesting one. Sometimes people draft tight end based on name more than anything else. If you're drafting Laporta that high, are you drafting on name?
I think you're drafting on name, and you're drafting on his rookie season. Because after you go McBride, Bowers, Loveland, I'd throw Warren in. I think Warren's in a good spot with Michael Pittman gone. And if Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones is healthy, he's in a good spot. After those 4, I think the next 4 we talked about with Pitts, Laporta, Kraft, Fannin are the next 4 coming off the board. I think that's a dead zone for tight ends that I don't think I will draft any of these guys unless one of them somehow just falls.
Yeah.
And I can get him in like the 7th or 8th round, because Fannin's on a bad team. Pitt's kind of on a bad team. He's up and down. Laporta hasn't done anything since his rookie year. Kraft coming off an injury.
Yeah, Laporta, by the way, his first year he had 86 catches,
120 targets too.
120 targets. His next 2 years combined, he got hurt last year, but 100 receptions for 10 touchdowns. So his first year, obviously, way outperformed his next 2 on that one. And you mentioned Fannin. Like, do you believe in the Browns? Do you believe the Browns are actually Watson or Sanders? And are they going to be worth a damn there with Atlanta? We're not sure. How. It's not going to be Penix envy, I don't think, at quarterback this year. I don't think he'd be the one. It'll be Tua, as long as he can stay healthy. But yeah, look at the quarterback situation too. But I'm with you. Like, once I get past a certain point, and by the way, I don't think I'll have any shares of Travis Kelce this year. I think there's probably a guy I can get that's younger and better around the time where Kelce will be available. I still love Jake Ferguson, but Isaiah Likely, that's got some potential there with the Giants,
Yeah, I do. Because again, the next 4 are Kelce, Kittle, Likely, Ferguson. Kelce and Kittle both on the other side of 30.
Yeah.
Injuries with Kittle. I like Kittle over Kelce, but Kittle's one of those guys where he has 3 really good games, and then the rest of the time he's probably the best football playing tight end because he can block. He just does everything well.
Yeah.
I like Kittle, but I would rather wait another 18 picks and get Ferguson, or even another 10 and get Likely. I really like Likely this year.
Yeah.
I always liked him with Baltimore. He was just behind Andrews. So if Dable schemes something up for him, he's a beast and he's a stud. So if I don't get Loveland and I don't take a second, third round pick on McBride or Bowers, I'm waiting, and then I'm just going to target Likely and Ferguson, I think, or even Kincaid. That's even at pick 129.
It's going to be fun with you can like Likely, you can love Loveland, you can also love Love. That's all that is true. There's all these ones we got now we can do on that one. I don't think there's no he hate me in this year's draft. I don't think, but
there's not another alliteration we can do.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's it, folks, for us. Thanks for checking it out. Fantasy Football Island. I'm Tito Jeff Thatall. Follow me on Twitter @ThatHappens. To my left there, it's Chad Rink @Chad Ocho Rinko, and Fantasy Draft Proxies, where you can go. Follow us on Twitter. Any questions you got? We got a lot more stuff to help you out throughout the draft season.